And speaking of cosplay, everybody's busting out the TPA cosplay. Actually, we are heading into the picks and bans phase for game number 2. I just TPA Shen now in the front row. Oh. I mean, you probably can't see because
I can never see.
You can never see anything, but
no,
he's a ninja.
Oh yeah, there you go. Yeah,
he's a ninja.
I can see.
So you know you can kind of excuse that. Okay, right.
He's not
picks
allowed.
and bans.
He's
picks
banned.
and ban. He's not allowed. So yeah, out.
No Shen.
But, right, Irelia, Evelyn, Lee Sin, and Kale have been banned away. Reminder, Shen, Braum, and Lissandra not available to be picked. They are banned away for the tournament because of little bugs, being newly released overpowered champions.
And Lissandra.
Yeah, and Lissandra, yeah, exactly. But, so, will we see a Nidalee ban? Or will Infused not?
Yes.
Okay, yes.
There we
yes,
go,
we
gone.
Will. Gone, but we were speaking to the guys from Tick, Trick, and Duck, and they were saying we never get to play Nidalee because it's always banned out.
Good to keep in practice.
Yeah, good to keep it practiced. And got a game on it.
Can't
Did
wait
very
for
well.
nerfs. I mean, they'll never nerf her.
Okay, Zig's banned out as well. What does that leave open? That leaves Jax open from the last game that was banned out. Now this game has been first picked, so not too surprising there to see Jax as that top priority pick.
Nightmare going to be taking away his at least most likely here. I don't see any reason to stop going with it when it worked so well for them last time. Other priority picks, though, there's a few out there, but generally the ones that you will prioritize super hard to pick very, very early on are not going to be available right now. Kassadin is an option, but I think you in particular have been saying basically he's been being picked a lot, he's been doing very, very well, and then they've lost the game, generally.
That was the trend we saw yesterday, is Kassadin somehow, because he was getting babysat quite a bit in multiple games, was getting through the early game very well, getting kills, and then was getting picked off a lot in the mid and late game, which, you know, is not typical of the champion. It's more perhaps typical of the way the teams are reacting to the map, the way the vision is changing on the map, the way teams are rotating, but just doesn't seem to be having that late game effect that, you know, you'd normally see from, I mean, to bring up the levels of Kassadin players like Xpeke, where he just decimates everybody if he gets a lead.
And I think it's because Kassadin requires a very unique playstyle from your entire team. It's not just the Kassadin player that needs to know how to play it. You need to be able to create picks. Speaking of creating picks, Warwick is a possibility. Feral Flare is a thing. He is very strong late game.
The thing about, I'm glad they swapped off, because I kind of feel like if they were going to play it, it would be more likely to be the top lane that we saw a lot of, and haven't been seeing much of it at all recently. I don't know how good it is from the jungle. I haven't seen it too much, and especially not in competitive.
When Feral Flare was really, really strong, people were playing it in solo queue a lot, because you could literally just farm till 6, you farm reasonably fast, and then you're a monster for the rest of the game. Now, a lot slower. We
have not seen Vi in a long time. I'm thinking pre-Feral Flare, pre-Xin coming back into it, pre-Pantheon. Because Impaler played it a lot in EU LCS, so did pretty much every other jungler. And then it dropped off because she got adjusted.
I think she's been coming back in.
Maybe a little bit.
I think I've seen her a couple of times online recently. And this is the thing. Works very well with Kassadin. Again, it's this creation of picks, because you cannot get away from her. She's got a double gap closer, and unlike a Jarvan, you can't flash away from it. So she can close in, lock you down, and you can also have a Kassadin to follow that up. If you have a split push pressure from Jax, then you can create that.
Okay, so
buff.
Well, there you go, Malphite with the new picture, which I always get confused with it being Malphite.
And Nocturne.
And
it looks like Nocturne.
It looks like Nocturne, it really does.
Just put him for a palette swap.
There's your Yasuo Ultimate engage tool, and Zyra.
That's a brutal team fight combo.
Yeah.
Absolutely brutal. Could be a slight issue for it, but that won't be too much of a problem in this case. Because normally what you have a problem with Jax, because he just pushes and pushes and pushes and pushes. You can never get to team fight. You are always split up dealing with him with one person. Of course, Teleport is now very much in. It's a very, very strong spell. And Malphite can, forgive me for saying it, stonewall. Like, a split pusher that's dependent on auto attack will never make any progress. Malphite won't kill Jax, but they cancel each other out, and you can always just teleport down when there's an inevitable team fight over an objective. And then you have this phenomenal team fighting composition, which means there's so much potential. I mean, you know, maybe it'll be Deathfire Malphite and he will kill Jax, but I'm not expecting it.
I'm actually not liking the Morgana pick right now. One of Morgana's tools for team fights, especially, like laning phase, still great, still everything great. One of Morgana's strengths is her ability to protect a carry with Soul Shackle. Zones out an area, makes it very difficult to pass. One champion that does not have that problem is Malphite. He will go straight through, and then Yasuo will go straight through. And unless Soul Shackle kind of completes first, it's difficult to actually prevent the combo from happening with the Morgana.
So the Soul Shackles is less valuable in this situation.
Yeah.
But the Black Shield
Indeed
becomes much more valuable against this type of composition, because you can not only block the Malphite, that also then blocks the follow-up from Yasuo. So there's an argument to be made for it, but they've already picked themselves a very slippery AD carry. So that would seem almost like a doubling up on the same thing. And they're going to be competing now with a Vayne. So if they're playing the, you know, kite the knock-up composition backwards and play it defensively, they're going to be getting chased down.
Yeah, and yeah, exactly. Like the Black Shield, as you said, will be useful, but that's one person that's going to get protected.
That's true.
And you know, Malphite into Yasuo is highly likely to catch 2, 3, 4 people if you're stacked. There's not a lot of ways of stopping that combination. And one of the things is, once it's done, that's that gimmick done.
Yeah.
You kind of left to
If
clean
you
up
survive
after.
it, you're okay.
Yeah, exactly. So there's an argument to be made on kind of both sides of that coin.
I'm actually curious now, because Yasuo ult range got nerfed. Which is longer, that or Malphite?
I have a feeling it's still Yasuo. Because it's a
Probably.
big range.
It is still a very
it used to be a big range.
It used to be just like off the screen.
Yeah, I
range.
used to be like, oh, okay, someone's getting ulted half.
I'll just mash R and
exactly,
hope
like
it
that
connects
blue
on
line
someone.
just like is going halfway across the map.
Let me just move my screen.
Yeah, but it did get an adjustment, as you said. But Malphite got adjustments recently as well, I believe.
Yeah. His mana costs, especially on his W, got quite significantly lowered. And that was one of his problems against Jax, was being outlasted, because you could go with a flask start, you could just sit in the lane, you could try and get yourself farmed up, and once Jax has hit level 6, he can start stacking up the third hit, the jump and the auto attack reset. And that then means that the attack speed becomes much less relevant for Malphite, because he nerfs it, yes, but Jax has already spiked most of his damage in one quick succession that ignores your attack speed slow, and then he just backs away, at which point Malphite, yes, he's got his shield, but he's still going to have to back out to regenerate that, and by the time he does, the next spike is up.
One thing that, looking at both of these compositions, they're actually okay to do is Infused. Normally you don't see Ezreal a lot. His later game damage, very subpar. Not one of his strengths at all, but when you're rolling with Kassadin and Jax, late game damage isn't exactly
No, you just need
something
him
you
to not
from,
die.
Yeah, exactly. It's not something you need from the AD carry role. And I think very similarly on the side of Tick, Trick, and Duck, their last pick of Vayne was saying, okay, we've maybe not got the most amount of damage in the late game. When you look at a Malphite, when you look at a Yasuo, they're going to start falling off a little bit if they haven't got further and further ahead. I mean, once that combo is over, if they don't eliminate people, their actual sustained damage is not amazing in the late game. Whereas Vayne, she can just come in and clean up. Anybody that's
Vayne
low
can
health from that
absolutely clean
combo,
up.
Vayne is going to have a field day.
It does create an interesting laning situation, though, because right now, I do not know if Tick, Trick, and Duck intend to one-on-one, two-on-two.
Right.
Vayne Zyra may actually just be able to beat out Ezreal Morgana, though. And that actually creates a Vayne lane where you can win. Because that was one of the old things. When Ezreal was very popular, very, very strong, got nerfed a bit since then, I believe, people were starting to pick Vayne literally just as a counter to Ezreal, because she can play from within the minions and just, harass out from within there, and he can't really fire back with his Mystic Shot. So with an advantage support as well, they may actually just be able to 2 versus 2 very effectively, and that really makes it a difficult time for Infused bot lane, because they're going to be left with a disadvantaged bot lane and a disadvantaged top lane and a disadvantaged mid lane.
Yeah, going along with that point, I feel like, as you were saying, with being able to stand in the minions, it's kind of a way of going against Morgana as well. Because, you know, she wants those long-range picks, but if you're sat at kind of that medium to close range, sat in between your melee and your ranged minions, it's very, very difficult to actually have any kind of effect.
The other thing this does, of course, is it means that the early pushing race becomes even more important than it usually does. Most champions, you know, they've got wave clear, they can push it out, but both of these AD carries are actually not that strong at clearing the wave that quickly. They're both single target and only, at least until level 6 for Ezreal. And the thing that means is that if Vayne gets pushed back by Ezreal early, she won't have any minions to play from within. She'll be constantly up against the tower, tower will be shredding the minions, she will be just sort of sat there trying to create a situation where she can then start getting aggressive on Ezreal. If she pushes him back though, it suddenly becomes almost impossible for Ezreal to harass her. She can just constantly kill the minions as they come back into lane and sustain herself up like that. So, really does emphasize the importance.
I wonder in that case then if Infused are going to go for the 4v1 or whether, or the 4v0, it's kind of playstyle, because Malphite typically isn't amazing in a 1v2 situation. So Tick, and Duck aren't likely to put him in it. They're more likely to divert him around to another lane if it ends up being that way. And we are now into game. We've gone through the loading screen. And this means we're into game 2 here between Tick, Trick, and Duck, making sure I got that one all right. And Infused here to decide who will meet mistakes were made in the grand finals later today.
Yeah, that is a very important game for them, and obviously Infused are fighting for their life in the tournament at this point. They lose this game, they are out, and they will be getting a 3rd place overall, if that is the case. If they win this game, they still have to play another one after that. And both these teams are starting to jockey for position here. There's a lot of threat level 1 from a Dark Binding and from an Ezreal as well. Because with no minions, Ezreal's level 1 damage is second only to Gangplank.
Oh, okay.
I believe.
Interesting.
I believe. In a straight, assuming he hits all his skill shots and there's no reason to miss in an open field, I believe he has the highest, like, one of the highest DPSs, if not first, second.
Okay, are we talking base then? Because I'd imagine once you start taking into account Ashe with passive.
Yeah,
maybe.
I'm talking like your DPS over time.
Okay.
If you're just sat there like, and you're just like, okay, we're gonna stand here, and you're gonna stand there, and we're gonna hit each other.
Just in case you
one of us
decide
dies.
to randomly do that.
But of course, Ezreal is very good, very capable of putting down his damage as well, because he's got much longer range than anyone else at level 1, and you know he gets a lot of that as a result. But of course, against Vayne, that's not as reliable. If she's not aware of your presence, though.
Oh, tumbles away from the Dark Binding. I thought that may have been that catch from the bush, but it is a level 2.
Yeah.
2v2, sorry.
Yeah, the thing is though, it does mean having to, because Sunny had to back off a little bit there. They're actually going to start altering the minions first, which means Sunny, who's just harassed, started to lose the pushing race.
But that's one thing that Zyra has pretty good control over, is you saw instantly pushing those the ranged minions back, and they've already answered that initial push, and here comes the jump forward from TPD. They want to start pushing, putting the pressure on to Infuse already, and he's starting to push in. Another reason why I kind of was mentioning the 4v0 potential is that's something that Ezreal is actually surprisingly good at.
Yeah.
Because of the Essence Flux passive, when you start tagging team members with it, you get that extra attack speed. And while his personal tower pushing isn't as good as maybe a Jinx or a Caitlyn, the actual team benefit is still pretty significant.
It's colossal. In a 4 versus 0 position, it amplifies that effect. You know, it's not like he gets his attack speed from his passive as well.
Yeah.
So he builds up quite ahead of steam and is able to, build himself that advantage there. Still keeping an eye on this bot lane, but it looks like at the moment they're just kind of settling into farming and pushing the game. And Wawa has had to use his pop, so I guess there's a small advantage.
Very small advantage indeed. But one thing to look at is, as we apparently go back in the time machine to season 2 of Malphite top against Jax, all we need is Shen, but he's not banned. So he is not available. He's banned. But
All not
this is
available.
one of the things, is that's actually a lot of damage coming out from GeoBear. Managed to take advantage of Phantom Joe being a little too aggressive and did end up falling. Both junglers convene in the mid lane. No actual ganks though.
Yeah, a little bit odd there. Just taking some strange auto-attack trades. Jax, like I say, if he gets his auto-attack reset off, is quite strong. And Malphite is very reliant on his base damage to be relevant in lane. If those don't start, if he doesn't get a few levels to build those up, auto-attack damage is more relevant, and Jax will out a little bit ahead. Still don't think he's going to have an easy time in this lane. If he does get too far ahead, he can really snowball.
Oh, and now Phantom Joe's getting a lot of damage again. Interesting thing GeoBear did there was when you kill your lane opponent, you have two options. You either stay in lane and shove and then recall, or you buy up if you want to freeze the lane. He teleported back, and he's exploiting Phantom Joe like this because Phantom Joe has to push so far up that Dan is able to come straight into lane and pick up the kill.
That means now Jax is getting a long way ahead very quickly. There is another aspect of this, of course, which is that Phantom Joe has not gone for like super heavy armor early. He's gone for Doran's Rings. Now, obviously Doran's Rings are nice if you're trying to get an advantage in the lane, but there's no way he's going to be able to beat out GeoBear with 2 kills down. So now, he's going to have to try and stay in lane. Obviously at tower, he's not diveable. But, Jax is happy to just farm it out anyway.
I'm just looking for any kind of hints here that maybe Tick, Trick, and Duck are getting a little overconfident. That, I mean, we've seen a lot of tank builds on Malphite typically out of that top lane. 2 Doran's Rings kind of screams to me that perhaps Phantom Joe is looking for an AP Malphite all-in, burst everybody down with Yasuo style, rather than just last and kill everything with Vayne to clean.
I mean, there is an argument to me at least for Doran's Rings, even if you're going tank, because Malphite's mana pool is a bit dodgy.
Oh, Imberlight might be in a little bit of trouble here, forced to flash away. No Riftwalk, dodges the cocoon though, so will stay alive.
Yeah, if that landed, he would have straight up died, but didn't have to use too much. He's got his Riftwalk, he won't need to be as concerned. I'm actually a little curious about how this mid lane will go once they both hit level 6. They're both super mobile, and they both have quite a lot of damage at that stage, but feels like Snow would have the better all-in.
Yeah, I kind of agree with that. Wawa actually gets locked in place. He's going to duel.
Sneaking
There's
off.
the last breath in the middle lane. Ignite is down. Snow desperately trying to build flow to try and get that shield back up, but it's a 1-for-1.
He's technically winning out. His minions are going to kill slightly more. Actually, wait, no, he's losing out. But regardless, Dan's there to pick up the farm, so it doesn't really matter. Regardless, though, definitely, an all-in there. Again, it's kind of hard to say who it favors. Okay, hello. This is interesting. Kassadin, Seeker's Arm Guard, Ruby Crystal. Hasn't gone for the tier. I'm curious if we're going to see Blue Belt Kassadin.
That would be an interesting
Malphite doesn't do much damage.
That is true, and I mean, we spoke about how kind of you can change up the core on a couple of mid laners when you're facing an AD mid laner. This is kind of the inverse, actually. Is on champions like Ziggs and Orianna, you see people build tier to build for a later game. But Kassadin, we're seeing here build Seekers first, rather than that tier, which is, I guess, just going to give him that resistance for the laning right now, because Kassadin has such good late game damage anyway.
Yeah, okay, so there's a build we've seen only played against AD comps by Kassadin. It's basically, you build like a Bruiser. You build Iceborne Gauntlet, and you build, I think sometimes a Rod of Ages, sometimes you skip that, and you build a Zhonya's as well.
Okay.
So you end up being this really, really tanky Kassadin, sticks to the enemy, keeps going for them again and again and again and again. You can see right now he's got so much armor, he's just way out trading Snow.
Oh man, Snow forced back into that fight, and actually looked like Snow may have been able to get away, but GeoBear picks up the kill. Snow actually started to back away, but then came back in, not knowing where Vi was.
Yeah, and I actually think he should have kept running, because I think Imberlight would have killed him. Like, straight up. If he had allowed Kassadin to keep chasing him down there, because you'll see also, I suspect Imberlight, actually he's not maxing W. Normally what we see, if they are going for a blue build, is they max the W.
Right.
Because it gives them the highest sustained damage, because obviously the tankier you are, the more auto attacks you can get down in a fight, which means the more times you can utilize the upgraded passive damage on the W.
I'm actually kind of glad we've seen the Chain Vest now on Malphite. because were he to build that kind of gimmicky solo queue,
Death 5 Grasp.
yeah, the kind of full AP Malphite that
It's great
was
fun.
kind of, it's fun, brilliant fun, but it's so glass cannon and is not standard at all. I'm glad that we didn't really see that, and he is in fact building resistances, because I feel Jax with an advantage would have just taken complete control of that lane.
Yeah, he's already pretty far ahead. And there is always a danger with Malphite. It's a strange balance you have to strike. Because if your damage gets too low, Jax can literally ignore you and just farm.
Yeah.
And that means he can actually harass you, trade, and then just say, okay, well, I'm going to ignore you for a while and lifesteal off the minions. And eventually you get chipped out of the lane that way. So you actually do need to get some damage, but Sun 5K tends to be a very good kind of middle-of-the-road option for that.
So we saw Dragon go down a little bit earlier to Infused, and they have themselves a lead here, which is pretty important.
Oh.
But Imbolite is going to get knocked up and into the last breath. Snow will pick that up. And that may be the road back into this for Tick, Trick, and Duck. They're now only 700 gold behind.
Yes, and for all that they've been having trouble, they are still getting Sunny quite far. He has got 85 to 63. That's what I said, he can have an advantage.
Oh, flash forward out of Chaz because they have so much damage, but there's
also
the
attack minion.
knockabout from Zyra. And Sunny is now maybe able to clean up. Flash forward, gets the first kill. Dan got a kill as well, but that got answered by Yasuo.
Okay, so that was an interesting one there because the Dark Binding landed, obviously, but it wasn't an all-in that you should have chosen. Chaz, again, choosing to try and seek out a fight that just doesn't work for you, because if you jump in on Zyra, you're asking to all get Stranglethorn, and Sunny still got a kill. It was still a 1-for-1 trade, even though he auto-attacked a minion and reset his Silver Bolt.
Oh, I
Yeah.
saw you say it. I didn't quite catch that on
Yeah,
my...
he did do that. That was...
Man, so he got away with pretty much murder on that one.
Okay, so Vayne's got a really weird auto-attack animation. It happens to everyone sooner or later. But it really screws you, because unlike most, normally auto-attack a minion and it costs you quite a bit of DPS because you're not auto-attacking the enemy. You do it with Vayne, and even if you're just auto-attacking the wrong player, you're still losing a big bit of DPS because you're losing the Silver Bolts, and it's a big spike of damage, but it takes a long time to set it up.
Yeah, and we can see just how they were a bit forgiven for that. Just got away with it. But Vayne also got the opportunity to make sure the lane was pushed at the end of that. Has gone back now, picked up the build towards Cutlass, Berserker's Greaves, another dagger, well on the way to that Blade of the Ruined King for the first item, which has become oh so common. Snow maybe getting baited in, because here comes Dan. You can see the damage here, and Imbolite picks up the kill.
All right, so that's obviously nice to keep him down, keep making sure Yasuo dies, but he's still going to get damage. He's already got his static shiv at this point, which means he's quite a significant threat, even if he keeps dying. For the rest of the game, you keep dying, walking back into lane, and he'd still have at least a moderate amount of damage, and he'd still serve the knock-up purpose to set up his team fight here. But obviously, the stronger Imbolite gets, the easier it is for him to roam, and he can influence other lanes. Bonaparte may be able to start an all-in here.
Oh, and the Stranglethorns has been used. Black Shield will keep Chaz alive, and actually, True Shot Barrage did get two. Sunny now in a lot of trouble, does get the first kill, goes into the bush, but will reveal himself. Teleport got used, but it's a double kill for Wawa.
And Gilbert being here is useless in terms of the actual fight. He arrived far too late, party was already over, cheese eaten. But he pushes towers very, very quickly, and Malphite just doesn't. He's a full tank Malphite, pretty much.
However, can TTD answer it with the middle lane? Cocoon after the last breath will answer that, and I believe they're going to push the tower down pretty much just as quick. Unstoppable force in the top lane. Dan is not very tanky here. Phantom Joe is just going to walk straight under the tower with this, but is it the right choice? Flashes away and will survive.
Yeah, he got away with it, and the other thing here is that sequence of play from TTG does end the laning phase that was really crushing them badly. It's the mid lane that's been killed in terms of the towers, and it's also costing Gilbert a little bit of farm and experience. Obviously, he's not been in the top lane. Normally, it would have been fine because Vi would have been, she's a higher scaling jungler, so you're okay to let her get some farm. Obviously, getting killed by Malphite not really ideal though.
I just wanted to maybe get your thoughts a little bit on, and actually now it's even more relevant, Ezreal building Bilgewater and now going for Trinity Force.
Yep.
What are your thoughts on that?
This is actually a thing. It's what's been being done by the very few Korean players that still play Ezreal. And it's basically because it actually synergizes with the kit very, very well. It gives you the on-hit effect from the Bilgewater Cutlass, gives you quite a lot of sustained damage overall, and just overall, it works. It's a really good build because it means that you can, because a lot of AD carries have problems using the active because of the short range.
And speaking of short range, GeoBear really is in a tricky spot now. Does have his flash, but
He's still alive.
He is still alive. Does have flash still, and he's now under the tower.
Oh.
He jumps out to the minions. Didn't even need the flash.
I think Nightmare thought he was dead.
I think he did.
He just kind of left him.
Yeah.
And that's going to cost him Dragon.
Wow, okay,
Okay, maybe
teleport
not.
is coming in from Phantom Joe. No unstoppable force for a little bit. If they can get that synergy off, Black Shield has been used. There is going to be a big window as unstoppable force is about to become available. Couple of seconds left on that tick down. There it is, into the last breath, and that's the combination that they're looking for. But Chaz did manage to pick one up from that. Yasuo has the double kill, and can Wawa get away? Low mana, but he does have that turret. It looks like Snow is going to angle around the back, and Phantom Joe is just going to tank this one up. Ground Slam, or they're actually going to give it over to Snow.
Yeah, and he's starting to pick up so many kills that his early laning phase is just irrelevant now. He's got 7 kills in total. So even though they got the Dragon there, still going probably roughly even on gold and losing out on the experience. Not a good trade for Infused, even though there was a screw-up from TGG in the top lane.
Yeah, Infused got the Dragon on that.
They did it. They did indeed.
So they at
Either
least
that or I can't read.
they at least got that from it. That's kind of I guess a minor victory at that point.
It's like 2 kills worth of gold and a smallish amount of experience they get from the Dragon. Probably the kills and the CS is going to outweigh the experience.
So
The
it's a
gold is
consolation.
roughly equal. But yeah, so I want to go back to this this Ezreal build here. But the Blade of the Rune King, basically, the short range on the active, AD carries, Vayne can use it because she tends to be very all-in. Arcane Shift Forward is also actually very relevant quite often. And in a composition like this, especially where you're afraid of being dived very, very heavily, it's also very, very relevant.
You can see there in the bottom lane how afraid the Infused bot lane are of Snow right now. He used the Wind Wall just to block a load of harass coming out from Ezreal, and then was in a 1v2 situation, and there were a lot of wards around for Infused, and they still didn't want any part of Snow now. He is 7-3, has Blade of the Ruined King and that static Shiv, and he's actually pretty powerful right now.
Yeah, and they've got so much burst here. There is the potential for the dive. If anyone got too close there, it would not be very difficult to kill them straight up, because both Morgana and Ezreal are very squishy at this stage of the game. They're going to back out of that. Going to move towards this mid lane now. Light. He's all right. He's fine.
He's okay.
Bit of harass.
I was going to say, it's also smart of Tick, Trick, and Duck to move their Vayne lane to mid now against Kassadin, because as long as you have kind of that buddy system in effect, Kassadin isn't really going to be able to 2v1 that easily, and of course you've got Nightmare roaming around, so Vayne's pretty easy to farm on in that situation, so you're getting Vayne even more of that free farm.
Yeah, that is true. Give Vayne a lot of farm, win the game. She also maxed Silver Bolts, which is worth noting. Quite often in a more difficult lane, you see Vayne max Tumble because it gives them just that little bit of an edge in terms of avoiding harass. Thing is, though, maxing Silver Bolts does actually give you a stronger all-in, because in a longer fight, you have higher damage as a result.
Yeah, you saw the Steel Tempest Tornado not quite land there, but
Arcane Shift.
Yeah, Arcane Shift is pretty good for escaping that. Up in the top lane as well, big cooldown was used, Unstoppable Force used to get Phantom Joe away from GeoBear. GeoBear, I believe, did...
Oh, they're collapsing.
Yeah, they are collapsing around the side of GeoBear, but they've got to be careful that Phantom Joe isn't too low here, and I think they're actually going to be a little bit late to get up to the top lane. GeoBear can get away from this one pretty handily.
Yeah, Sunny can actually one-on-one him at this stage as long as he's clever about it. Using the Tumble, using the Stealth, using the Condemn. Jax only has one gap closer, so as long as he doesn't get stunned, he's generally going to be fine, but he doesn't want to overstay right now, because here comes Dan. There's 3 members.
Yeah, and Phantom Joe is not available, not around. Flash forward. Dan actually had the ultimate there as well, so...
And Flash too.
Yeah.
He could have chased it, but chose not to.
I think he could have used the ult to bait the Flash, and of course, the Flash
You can follow through the Flash.
You follow through. So, interesting, but Dan's now going to use the ultimate onto
Well, that's
Sunny.
not the time.
It's already far too late for this. Sunny gets the proc on the Silver Bolts, will pick up the kill from that, but repel forward. Riftwalk will get away from it. GeoBear might be in a little bit of trouble after the cocoon, but there's a lot of health there on that Kassadin.
Meanwhile, in Australia, Snow was just taking the tower. So, yeah, oh, wow, I need to be very careful.
Yeah, he's stuck pretty close
Later
here.
in King.
Oh, that is a beautiful Steel Tempest Tornado. Preempted the escape. Gets the kill.
And this is one of the things about Yasuo. He's actually a really good split pusher too. So even though Jax is very strong right now, I'm not sure he could fight Yasuo.
Yeah, I'm not sure if that either.
Maybe.
Maybe. That would be an interesting one to see. But
It's always, I mean, Jax versus Yasuo is always a fun one because if Yasuo is able to juke around the minions effectively and avoid the Counter-Strike stun, which is always such an important fact, he can win that fight one-on-one almost every time. Of course, if Jax sticks to him, he is in a lot more trouble. Took the tower though. That's put the team 3k ahead.
It's a good lead for Tick, Trick, and Duck right now. The one thing they have to be careful of is that they don't get drawn into the extreme late game. Because although they have Vayne, there is segments of that late game where Jax, of course, is going to have Counter-Strike. If he gets onto Vayne and Vayne can't kite, if Vayne gets locked down and removed, suddenly they lose so much of their damage, their late game potential.
The moment they're continuing to solidify their lead, though, Jax was not able to sustain up in the top lane, so Phantom Joe forced him out. And because they knew Jax had just gone back, they were able to get that dragon as well.
Wawa maybe in a little trouble. You can see that movement speed out from Sunny.
Oh,
Wawa tried to
yeah.
position just so that he didn't get condemned into the wall immediately, but Sunny's getting dropped pretty quickly here as well. So Infused do even that one up. Dan now here. And Nightmare's on the run, but Teleport is coming through. Unstoppable Force into the last breath will decimate Dan and Chaz, and that is going to put TTD in good standing.
That is the trick. That is the one-trick pony of the Malphite-Yasuo combination, but damn is it a good trick because it does so much damage, and it gives you, what, 3 seconds, I guess, of lockup?
Yeah, about that.
It's a lot of crowd control for League of Legends, and that may lead straight to the Baron. I'm not sure I like that. Apparently TTD don't either, but they were thinking about that.
Oh, okay. Yasuo is sitting on 2.6k gold, so I don't think they really want to fight while sitting on that bank. So what's he going to do? Just going to finish off his Infinity Edge. So suddenly Yasuo now... I mean, we talked about if he didn't get a massive lead, he'd start perhaps falling off after the combination, but GeoBear gets caught as well here, and that is not a good position for Infused to be in. Manages to leap strike away.
He's alive.
He is alive. But now that he's got that Infinity Edge on Yasuo, he is so far ahead damage-wise compared to the resistances from Infused that he will just eat through anything he touches.
In fact, possibly we're not going to be seeing it right now, but to give you a rough estimate of how much damage before resistances this is, in fairness, his ultimate is, his Q is doing every 1.33 seconds. It's in the region of about 600 damage.
That's quite a lot.
With a static shift proc, extra 200.
That's quite a lot. And that's
every
so much
1.3 seconds.
And speaking of resistances, again, Dan is playing a jungler and has not built resistances at all.
Gotta carry a team.
He's built Yomu's Ghostblade, but I mean, sure, he's got 3 kills. He's also got 5 deaths.
Yeah.
I'll be honest, Vi's damage is fairly good once you have Elder Lizard anyway.
It's true. Like, I don't understand Dan's obsession with it. It does feel like double damage jungle items is solo queue.
Yeah, that's honestly how I feel in this situation. Is you see your jungler go,
yeah.
oh, I'll just carry this. but
Yeah.
you have the luxury of communicating with your team in a team that you've played with before. So
Stan not trust his team.
Ooh. I don't want to be the one to raise that point, but I mean, honestly, it feels like...
do you trust your team?
I feel like if he was playing with resistances, their team has the damage in the late game to just wreck anything they touch, provided they get there. And without resistances, it's going to be difficult to get there.
Very, very true. They are potentially going to catch Phantom Joe.
Forces the ultimate out of him, so they won't have that one trick that you were talking about.
Yeah.
That tick and the trick in the duck, but there's the assault and battery, and no resistances means you get absolutely deleted. There goes Juve, really nice counter strike. He's going to lock down all 4 members, but it's not enough. It didn't last long enough, and Imbolite is now in a lot of trouble as well. A double kill for Elise.
And that is a 4 for 2. They will be able to push down this tower. Obviously not the best pushing members left, but even so. Free tower, extra kills, pull yourself further ahead, distribute the gold a little more evenly as well, and get yourself vision control for the next push.
Yeah, because here they can, as you say, set up the entire vision. Sweepers being used in the jungle. They're going to lay their own wards. Although they don't actually have a ward on Baron right now, not expecting that kind of fast Baron counter, because to be honest, Infused right now aren't in the best situation to do it.
No. It would be a completely all-in and super risky play.
That would be it. We feel like we've lost this game. Let's
roll a die.
Yeah, exactly.
The die is weighted. 5 to, wait, 5 to what? 5 to 6 is we lose or win? 5 to 6 we win. 1 to 4 we lose. That way it's weighted against you.
I'd still take a...
Should have probably used the D20.
I'd still take a 1 in 3 chance.
Yeah, that's much better than the actual
really
odds.
Good, yeah, exactly. I'm like 1 in 3 I get Baron.
It's more like roll a 20 and you'll
Natural 20s.
Yeah. It's literally it. No bonus.
Oh dear. Oh dear. But how do they steady this ship? I guess they have to just continually stop Phantom Joe from having the unstoppable force available.
Well, we found out who wins Yasuo versus Jax.
Well, Jax is kind of 11
way
kills
behind
Yasuo, so...
But this Yasuo does kill this Jax. And actually, that was probably the biggest weakness that TTV had, potentially. Emberlight, 2-man gang, super mobile. Yasuo, in spite of being so super, super scary, is still very squishy. If you burst him down and you CC him down, you could catch him. Unfortunately, when he's already killed your split pusher, you're in trouble.
Oh, unstoppable force. Didn't need the follow-up. The Black Shield had already been used by Chaz.
Tanky.
Oh, was it Mikhail's, I believe it was? Yeah, Mikhail's just to get Dan out of there, but Chaz fell in the process.
Rip. He did what he could for his teammates, sacrificed his life. True support, still dead.
Still dead.
Zyra is not true support, she has haunting guys.
To be honest, it leaves them in a tough spot because there's nobody really that can stop. That did no damage.
Yeah.
Although Phantom Joe is now actually dropping
slowly
pretty low,
dying.
Stranglethorns will zone them out. And Sunny actually picked up Geobear. I didn't see that. It wasn't a teleport in through the side. Dan tries to go aggressive. Sunny very low, but can he kite this? He can, but there's Imbolite coming through the team fight. Now forced to Zhonya's. The Cocoon was chosen to be used on Ezreal. There would have been a free one onto Kassadin. If they can actually get Kassadin here, it will put them in good stead. But they're going to choose to back away. And actually, I didn't even see this.
Oh, hey, Yasuo.
Yeah, Yasuo's kind of in the base. He took an inhib during this fight.
Yes.
And now Chaz is going to die.
Yes.
So we were focusing on the fight, as I feel Infused were as well. And Snow actually just said, hey, I'll take this free inhib.
Well, why not? I mean, he can kill him very, very quickly.
I don't think this is going to work, Gio.
Try.
I don't.
He's got flash and no blade. Oh, no blade of the Rune King.
Snow doesn't have anything to jump to, yeah, so
good
maybe.
luck.
Oh, and he missed the Steel Tempest. Shield gets popped, but Counter Strike gets used. As soon as that expires, though, can Snow turn this one back around? Oh, here comes Kassadin.
Hey.
It was a 1v1. Should have let it happen, but I mean, they did get Snow.
Kind of worked.
They did take down
Shut
Snow.
down gold. And it's a skull.
Oh, there's the ward. Unstoppable. Unstoppable Force Grand Slam.
The trade is now worse.
Yeah,
Separate instance. It was still worth it.
still worth. Oh dear.
They're in bad shape.
Well, that's not going to happen again because he's now got a Guardian Angel.
Well, it could happen again.
It could, but it'd have to happen again, and then have to happen again.
Kassadin is quite good at corpse sticking, though. Because you can
Bonaparte's
stack up Rift Wall.
actually way out at that point on his own, and I guess that's one thing that the Vi building damage does have. Damage.
You're right. Truly stressed.
Sorry to
You are-
state the obvious on that one, but
No, man. That is why you're one of the great minds of our time.
I know,
Stress.
man. You know, people just need to hear the obvious again and again.
Indeed. So, Kassadin now. Yeah, sat in the base trying to clear minions. Tower did live, which is nice. Nearly didn't. They're going to try for Sunny here. I'm not sure this is a good idea.
Assault and Battery was available, but Dan
It
just
wasn't.
gets absolutely destroyed as he goes into 3 members of Tick, Trick, and Duck. And with the bottom lane pushing, all the options are available now, and I believe they're going to focus on Baron.
Yeah, why not? Take the Baron. No way they can contest. If they do come and contest, turn around and kill them, then take the Baron. Or kill them, the base. That's the other option. So, free Baron, 13k ahead. 30 minutes in. Infused have a man down. This is the game that will knock them out of the tournament.
Frost Queen's Claim being used may have held Geo best. Sunny's actually going to chase it. If there's one... Nope, Sunny's actually... Oh, no, he's actually going to go for it, but Snow's going to go in the mid lane. Oh, the damage out of Snow. Imbolite with the Zhonya's will keep himself alive for just a second.
Kill them all.
Windwall does so much against Wawa right now. There's the Guardian Angel. Snow will come back up, blocks out the binding from Morgana, does Nightmare, and now the cleanup crew is here. Wawa will fall, Snow manages to pick that up. Another double kill for Yasuo. He's going to finish this game so far at 18-5-5. And Geo has managed to get all the way down to bottom lane. Sunny's just going to chase him.
He will.
He will.
He's still got the bonus movement speed.
He's
from his
trying to
passive.
also...
Oh, he got his ult. Now he's got it. Now he's
Sunny.
got him.
Counter Strike's only going to last so long. And that's the ace. And that means Tick, Trick, and Duck are going to move on to face Mistakes Were Made in our grand final.